Hi, Eddie Troxler here. Another hopefully exciting episode of Jazz Chat can be reached at jazzchat.org. We post them there. I also have a YouTube channel and the FATV, that's Fitchburg Access Television. They've been really helpful with all of this stuff and taught me how to do this. And every episode is a learning experience. And if you have suggestions, feel free to make them or comments, whatever. If there's shows you would like to see, also if you would like to be a guest on my show, just contact me through jazzchat.org or eddiesmusicco@gmail.com. Um, Most of you in this area know me, but if you're watching from another area or something, you may but Eddie's Music, EDDYSMUSIC, and that's my music shop. So today, I'm quite honored to have a guest, Audrey Chow, who's been a good friend for a while. I don't know. I met you probably 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, because I own Curious Escape Rooms, and we're about to hit our 10-year anniversary, so that sounds about right.
That's exciting.
I'm actually now Audrey Pendelton-Chow.
Oh, that's right. You got married. Yeah.
In between then.
Yeah. I guess me and you are. Well, there's a few businesses that have stayed. A lot of businesses do come and go, but we've managed to stay there. And I've talked to a lot of people. I know Fitchburg gets a bad rap, but I love Fitchburg. It's been really good to me. As a musician, I've been able to just only work as a musician. The past 20 years or so, I moved out here in 2002. From Boston. I'd been living in Boston and then wanted to buy a house is how I ended up. I never knew it existed. And I grew up in the Carolinas. But
it's really incredible that you've been able to do that.
Yeah, I really haven't had to work any jobs that I didn't want to. When I first moved out here, I worked for Thayer Symphony till they closed. And then I worked for a few music stores, and then I've had my own business for a while, Eddie's Music in Fitchburg, but I had Peterborough Music up in Peterborough, New Hampshire for a little while, but the commute, plus it was a big store. But for me, it's been a really a great place, and it's still, I think, one of the more affordable cities in Massachusetts, or New England in general. Yeah. But Audrey today is also the downtown coordinator, which is a job for the city. Yeah. Is that correct? And there's a lot. There's money going into the city. We have the new artist thing, the B.F. Brown.
Mm-hmm. That's the Fitchburg Arts Community.
Yeah, that's that. We have an art museum and.
Oh yeah. And it's now officially free admission all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I've taught. I had the mayor on and a few other people. I think the arts is what really brings a city.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you think of, Greenwich Village in the '60s or San Francisco in the '60s, they were in sections of town that no one really wanted to be there, and then the artists kind of bring it up, and then they price the artists out. But we're trying to prevent that from happening here. I mean, it happened in Austin, Texas more recently. They've priced all the artists out,
Yeah. Gentrification's always a concern.
Yeah. So this downtown coordinator position, you help businesses or events, with events and businesses to coordinate them. And I people think I'm social, but I don't even get out that much. Mainly lately because I have my own gigs, but you get out to see a lot of these to the events and stuff. So maybe if you want to talk about some of that. So if people want to get involved, there's actually some events today. Today is April 2nd. I'm not sure when you're watching this.
But it's first Thursday of the month. And that First Thursdays has sort of been a little bit of a thing. It was when Monique Reverie was the downtown coordinator. She definitely facilitated a lot of First Thursdays events. As I have come in and revitalized her position, I guess. There was a little bit of a time where there was not any downtown coordinator, and so now I'm back, and I've been at the job for maybe like a month or two. And so one of the things I wanted to help was promote First Thursdays again.
That would be awesome. And if people want to, if they have ideas for any of that stuff, they could contact you as downtown coordinator. How do they get in touch with you? Do you have like a
I do have an official City Hall email address.
Awesome.
Yep. A Pendleton-Chow, CHOW, at fitchburgmath.gov. You can probably also find me in the directory. But you can also message me on social media at InTown Fitchburg on Facebook and Instagram. And that's where I'm doing a lot of the promotion, at least like the digital promotion.
That's awesome. Yeah, so if you have some some events you want to pull together, there's always help from the city. Plus, about a lot of these events. There's the big one in the summer, whatever that's called.
The block party?
Well, there's the block party, of course. But the one that the Canvas guy does.
Oh, yes, River City Rhythm Rock Festival.
Yeah, they were looking for people, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure when they're doing their call for performers, but it's usually the last Saturday of August.
Yeah, I'll try to get him on the show. I've tried to get a variety of different people. I've had people who play in bars a lot, last week I had Scott, who mostly plays in bars, but I've had Robert Potterton, who is more the church ends. But if you're an artist or a musician of any kind, I think we have some opportunities. I had Amy on the community orchestras at the college. And anybody can play in those if you're like, say, if you played in high school or something and you want to get back into it, even if you're not a really good reader, that you could still get involved in some of that stuff. And then the stuff you do, even if you're not a musician, you could really get involved. And we musicians need other people to do.
Yeah.
We need listeners for one thing.
That's helpful. Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about some events that are happening today, this first Thursday. The Fitchburg Farmers Market is there every first Thursday at the Fitchburg Art Museum from 3 to 5:30 p.m. So since it used to be that the Fitchburg Art Museum was only free admission on first Thursdays, but now that they're free admission all the time, they do special programming on first Thursdays, and it's called Fam at Night. This time it will be Words from the Berg, which is an openness mic event.
Yeah, I went to one of those. It was pretty. That was the first one I had been to, because Laura, who spearheads those, she was on my podcast, and and so I went over, and it was real. I was surprised to see it. I was really impressed. Some of the performers, as well as some of the turnout she had.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But I was talking to Laura, maybe possibly collaborating, jazz music and poetry.
Absolutely.
We kind of winged it a little bit as we were on the on the podcast.
Did she do a little poetry and you played music behind it?
Yeah.
And then it's a song.
Yeah. That's that podcast should be up. If you want to check it out. All the past episodes are there, or on my YouTube channel, or on FATV. Don't forget, and they're a nonprofit. They're always, if you're really wealthy and looking for a place to make a contribution, it's a really good organization. So anyway, the 01420, that's the different. But this, there was one question I had. The farmers market. Is that going to move outside pretty soon since we're.
Oh yeah. I would assume so.
Oh.
Yeah, they usually are at the Fitchburg Art Museum during the winter, and
Mm.
then when it gets warmer, they're usually in the Upper Common.
They were, and then but a few times I think they were outside at the art museum.
That's true.
But
Yeah,
I'm
they've also
not
been
sure.
doing that.
But I guess we'll have to wait for further notice on that through. Is the place still kind of the growing places? Are they still a big part of that?
I'm not 100% sure. On the website, it says that it's organized by. I thought it was Growing Places, but it might be. I'm not 100% sure.
But that's another venue. When I maybe when I first moved out here, the farmers market was a fairly big event. Were you here when they used to do it in Riverfront Park?
No, I wasn't.
So it was. I'm not sure why it declined all of a sudden, but it was a pretty big event, and we would get different people to play. I played there a few times, but I'm sure they would like people to.
They did that every month, or was it like
no,
a
it was
specific
like every
event?
week. It was like
Every
every
week. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, but they would always get people to play. If anybody wanted. I used to play there. Paul Lurie used to play there a lot, and then we had different performers,
Yeah.
which kind of made it a reason people would come there, and there were a lot of vendors then. So I'm not sure if they weren't selling very well but if you have ideas of any of that stuff, get in touch with Audrey. We can put all this stuff together, or
Yeah. The wonderful thing about being in this position is that I get to be a connector for a lot of different organizations, and I can bring people together, which I sort of was able to do previously before I had this official position. A lot of what I've been doing as this role, I was doing voluntarily in my random spritz of spare time. So now that I get to do it officially, it's very exciting, and I have even more resources to pull from.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because we do need, like, certain people are good at certain things. I would just as soon play. I don't. I would just as soon not. Deal with all the other ends of that. And sometimes I have to but having people like you who are good at connecting and socializing too, that you seem to like doing that. So, and that's a big part of it, that you're always smiling. Let me help you with that. Yeah, Fitchburg. There, we have a lot going for us. So, and I think with all these new apartments, hopefully, it's bringing people into the city.
Yeah.
And for me, one thing that got me out here, it was still on the train line to Boston. Me and my wife both still worked in Boston when we first moved out here. So the train is it's a little bit slow, but
Yeah.
but you can sleep and you have free internet.
You can you can work on your laptop while being on the train ride too. There.
I've even practiced. I always think about ways about it, but I have a travel electric guitar, and I can run it all through headphones, and I'll practice. Get in an hour or so of practice. It works good for me if you're a musician and you're looking for something like that. Yeah, but like you say, there's free Wi-Fi, so the laptop you can work on whatever.
I think I also saw something that the commuter rail is going to be free or something like that on weekends.
It might be. That would be that would be a plus. I know a couple of one guest that I've had on here a couple of times, Michael. He's a street performer. He goes into Boston, and he does really well. He's a Berkeley graduate too, and really super knowledgeable about jazz. That's one reason I like to have him on. But yeah, he rides the train in and works. and does pretty well with that. So, you know, to me, being on the commuter rail, because if you look at the prices in Boston these days, it's hard to find any.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even like a studio for under $500,000 if you're buying it. You know,
I wouldn't even bother to look for renting somewhere in Boston. And it's also really nice that the commuter rail now goes to Wachusett too. The
oh,
Fitchburg
that's
one goes
right.
to-
Yeah, it does
yeah.
go that way. And then we were talking. It used to go to Worcester, right? Well, maybe not the commuter rail, but there was a train line.
Yeah, you told me about that. I had no idea.
Yeah, so there's those like if you go on the rail trail, the beginning down by Railroad Street, which is where I live, you can there's these big signs up with the history of the Fitchburg rail system, and it says there was a track that went from Fitchburg to Worcester. But I was just on public radio today, and they were talking about something from Worcester to Springfield.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But they were like, yeah, but the date is going to be like 2045. So I was like, well, yeah,
Eventually we'll get there.
I probably will. Maybe I need assistance to ride by then.
Yeah, it's too bad that they got rid of the Fitchburg to Worcester. Are we sure that it wasn't like just freight trains?
It could have been, but I think you should read that plaque, or I should take a picture of it and bring it in.
Yeah.
That I'm usually down there with my dogs, and if they happen to stop there, I'm reading it a little bit. And then
the rail trail is really lovely to walk along, though.
Yeah, that's another plus for Fitchburg. I'm down there like every day because I live really close to one part of it, and they're extending it. They're going to make a bridge across.
Across the railroad tracks in order so that it can go to basically next to the March station, the commuter station.
I'm not sure what they've been doing a lot of work there within the past month or two. So I'm not. I would like to see the plans because I think originally they had planned to put like a bridge from just crossing the river like over to Market Basket, from Railroad Street.
Yeah.
But over the tracks would be nice. I don't know how it would have to be pretty high up though, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Or maybe under them. They could go under them. That would be a cool bike ride. Go through a tunnel.
Yes.
But anyway, so the 01420 week is coming up, and this is what events do we already have planned? There'll be like vendors and all that stuff.
So 01420 week is organized by Coffee Corp, which is the holder of the Creative Cities grant that we were given from Mass Development. And 3 years ago was the first one. I came up with the name because April 14th through the 20th was school vacation week. And I was like, oh, that's our zip code. This year, school vacation doesn't start until the Friday of 01420 week. But we've continued it, and it's basically a campaign or promotion of different arts, culture, events, activities, even business specials happening every day of 01420 week in Fitchburg.
So it's still the 14th through the 20th?
Yes.
Okay.
This year, the 14th lands on a Tuesday.
Okay,
Yeah.
So will it start?
It's a Tuesday to Monday, so it'll end on Patriots Day, which a lot of people have that day off.
Yeah, if you're in Massachusetts, one of the few states that celebrate Patriots Day. It's not a national holiday.
Yeah. In Massachusetts, a lot of people have that day off.
Yeah, it's because it's...
and it's also Marathon Day.
That's kind of why they... when I lived in Boston, there was no way you could get anywhere, that day anyway. So
everyone would be late to work, I'm sure.
Yeah, Boston. I guess Boston. I'm not. I run a little bit, but I'm never been a marathon runner, but I think Boston is one of the main ones. You know, if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, people travel internationally for the.
generally a lot of the it's international people who win. You know, I suppose,
Yeah.
but I think that's one of the harder ones. They're Boston, and then I've heard that New York is a little bit easier, but it's so. But
They're all hard to me because I'm a terrible runner.
oh well, you know, I wasn't never very athletic, but I
Yeah.
did start running later in life. Actually, I started running when I quit smoking. That was in my 40s. I guess I could blame it. Being from North Carolina, you know, it was like
The weather.
no, they grow all the tobacco there. Like when we were kids, we would pick it out of the fields, and
Oh my gosh.
but
Gets you an early start.
but I think any of those habits to maybe to replace it with something, and I had read that running would help heal your lungs the fastest, and but it's been way over 20 years since I quit tobacco products, and I started running, and it really is a lot. I'm so grateful that I was able to not, but marathons. That's like for one thing, you have to train. I think a friend of mine was running Boston, and he would have to do a 10-mile run at least a couple of times a week just to stay in shape. So that's a pretty good ways,
Yeah.
I have run some 5Ks, which is only 2.2 miles.
That's still more than me.
Yeah, I run.
I did the walk for hunger. I used to do the
good.
walk for hunger.
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, definitely by the halfway mark, I was already starting to die. But I have completed it twice, but it hasn't been since like high school or college.
That's good. That's a pretty big event. I remember. I know it was in Boston when I lived there. That was.
Like it goes like through Newton. It's pretty long.
I run 5Ks with my dog, so that's my excuse for running really slow. Oh, it was the dog.
You can't get a fast dog.
But it is. Most of them are for good causes. But no, it's not. For me, I mean, just building up. You start with around the block, and then maybe 2 blocks, and
Yeah.
But I'm glad I was able to give up all those bad habits. Being a musician, I think some of that stuff kind of goes with it. It seems like, I don't know if it's just that, a lot, especially playing jazz or blues or rock and roll, you're in places that serve alcohol, and there seems to be other substances going around too.
Sure.
But for me, it just, if I have that addictive personality, to replace it with practicing music or running or
Much
something
healthier or funner.
I would hope so,
or productive,
and I feel a lot
Yeah.
better too. But so the 01420 week, that will be April
14th through the 20th.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that I know they had the big lit up thing down there, the metal sculpture that was 014. I think Monica.
Oh yeah,
maybe
Hal Smith and was it Louisa that built that? But that was for the Light Festival. Many years ago during Leap Day.
Oh, so that was different.
It was different, but when we came up with the idea of a 1420 week as like a placeholder, I did take a picture of
that.
Of that and use that as promotion. But then we moved on and like created like a new logo. But yeah, it was part of the inspiration of it.
There was also the Zip Trip. Did you ever know about that?
Yeah.
So I still have one of their T-shirts. It says Zip
nice.
Trip 01420. But I think that was kind of like on national TV or something. They were like, today we are visiting.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's episodes of that available or not.
Yeah, I think you can find it.
But I guess
If I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure that they did highlight Curious during it.
awesome.
I believe they did. Yeah.
I don't know if they got Eddie's music or not, but I would feel like I would need to clean up. Now, you know, I don't want to get involved in all that.
You've got like instruments on the floor.
Yeah, that's not one of my strong points. Is not organization. We're at 26 minutes, so we have like 4 minutes, and I'm really grateful for Audrey coming on, who really gets out. So you were going into the restaurant the other. So I hardly ever get out. For one thing, I've been vegetarian for a long time, so I don't know what places. So I usually just cook for myself. But there are some nice restaurants in Fitchburg. I mean, I play at Dario's twice a week, which is a kind of an upscale Italian restaurant. I can say that everyone who
And
goes
you make
there
it more upscale on Wednesday and Saturday nights.
I'm Wednesday and Saturday at Dario's,
Yeah.
and then
Playing little live jazz music.
jazz. I play jazz there, and then I play at Tacos and Tequila, which is maybe not quite as expensive. If that's on Friday nights. I'm there. It's the same owner, so it's he's really good at that stuff. But some of the other restaurants and places to go. I haven't even been to the game room as
Power Surge?
yeah, I haven't been there, but I
yeah,
know
it's a lot of fun. It's been great partnering with them as for Curious.
Yeah, Curious Escape Rooms. Yeah, check that out.
Please
And
do.
then there's the Power Surge. That's like you can go in there and play games.
Yeah, you pay cover charge, and then it's free games for the rest of the night. Yeah.
Wow,
So like free
that's pretty
arcade
cool.
games.
Yeah, and there's
and they do all sorts of events every week, and live performances and bands. Yeah, it's normally a $10 cover, no re-entry, but curious customers, it's $5, and they can leave and come back. But
And I think
you also gotta play an escape room though too.
oh yeah. Really, you should check that out. And also, there's a lot going on at the Cough 33, the Canvas thing.
Canvas by Coffee Corp.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I used to play. It used to be a martini bar a while ago, but I haven't really been there lately. It was
you should go check it out.
It was Tryst for a while. I didn't go there then, but it is right above my shop. So there's events going on. We have 01420. We have the first Thursday, which is today, and stay tuned. There's always lots of events in the summer. There's the Riverfront.
River City Rhythm Rock Festival. There's
I'm glad you have all these.
all the Fitchburg Civic Day events, which is like the block party, which is huge, honestly.
It is a great event.
July 3rd.
Yeah, sometimes I'm in Montreal for a jazz festival, but
oh yeah.
I was afraid to travel last year because. But if I'm around,
Yeah.
I will see you there. We're less than a minute, and we do get cut off if we go over 30 minutes. But thank you so much, Audrey Chow, Curious Escape Rooms, and the new downtown coordinator for Fitchburg, Massachusetts.
Yes. Thank you for having me. And even though it says downtown coordinator, I actually can help micro businesses citywide.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Get in touch with us. Comments welcome. Try to be nice. Thank you. We're out.